So my name is Shantha Alonso, and I'm a Roman Catholic Christian, and I use Roman Catholic as an adjective and not as a noun because I believe that we are part of an ecumenical community of Christians, and I look forward to the day that we're all one. And the reason that I care so much about that is embedded in my name, actually. My first name, Shantha, is Sanskrit. It's a common name in India. I trace it to my family roots in India, where my mom's side of the family has their roots in the Martoma Church, as well as the Church of South India. And when they migrated to the United States when my mother was 6 years old, they became Lutherans in Iowa. And that was their tradition. And then my dad's side of the family, their last name is Reddy. It's my middle name now. And they're from Ireland, 4 generations back, and they practice an Irish kind of Catholicism that looks very different than the Mexican American Catholicism that my husband's family practices with the name Alonso. And so these many different understandings of Christianity that are embedded in my name, embedded in my faith, my identity, they mean a lot to me and make up who I am. Well, so I want to tell 2 stories. One is a story about, in some ways, being other, and one is about my own encounter with the other and how that enriched my spiritual life, spiritual journey, ministry. So sometimes people don't understand what it means to be ecumenical, to embody an ecumenical presence. And for me to come from a heritage and a family where we practice multiple types of Christianity, and yes, I do self-identify as a Roman Catholic Christian, but I also go to church with my grandmother at an ELCA congregation, and I also visit my aunt and uncle's congregation that's Assemblies of God, and I can feel at home in a lot of different prayer settings. We bring these faith conversations to our dinner table, and it's normal to us. So I have a difficult time when I get into certain areas where people only identify with one type of Christianity, for example, people who have a narrow view of Roman Catholicism, and they try to put me in a box or leave a certain part of my faith identity, my culture, my spirituality at the door because that part of you isn't welcome here. I think the future of the church really is about bringing in a wider swath of identities and cultures, and we have to prepare for that. And I hope to be part of that work. So my other story is about a good friend of mine who I met in social work school. Her name is Akila Jogi, and she identifies as Muslim, and she knew that I was going to Eden Theological Seminary as well, and I was studying pastoral studies. Eden Seminary is United Church of Christ Seminary, but very ecumenical, but did not have a very robust program for studying Islamic studies or anything like that. And so we identified a need in our seminary for more exposure to the Muslim community, and had some support from my professor at the time, Reverend Dr. Michael Kinnaman. And he encouraged me to work with my friend Akila to coordinate an event that was a Muslim Christian dialogue. Akila found some people from her mosque to come to the seminary. We hosted a meal together, we did a dialogue, and then Akila's friend, who was an imam, was able to lead all of us in a prayer experience. Wow. And for almost everyone, that was the first time they had ever experienced Muslim prayer. And many of them said that it was very powerful for them, and that they definitely felt like they had a spiritual community in that space after having broken bread together, talked together, come to common understanding, and then expressing our reverence for the divine in the same space. And so I look to that experience as just one tiny example of how friendship can turn into community transformation. So I think friendships are at the heart of every justice movement that moves. You can only do great things with love, and you can only love one another if you break bread together and have a laugh together and really spend time getting to know each other. One of the hardest things I've seen when I look at coalition tables is that people come together and try to work together without really understanding where the other is coming from. And one of the most special things that I see about the religious community is that that's what we do. We build community. But sometimes we take for granted that as we're working on our intra-faith issues and focus so much inward on building our own communities, building our membership, building our congregations, whatever, that we also need to take the same time and attention to our interfaith reality and that witness that the religious community can bring as a whole to our communities and to our global community, as Religions for Peace Assembly is going to do in Vienna. So it's exciting to be in a position to change the world together. Religious leaders have the power to do that. It's frightening sometimes when you're a religious leader to be in the public eye and to feel the pressure to say the thing that is politically astute, to say the thing that is going to be well accepted, the thing that's going to get a lot of claps. So my hope is that you feel free and you feel the strength and solidarity in the friendships that you make in that space to say something that might be unpopular, to speak a difficult truth, and to take an action that might not get a lot of claps, but will change the world. Because a prophet is never accepted in their own hometown.